Now, Donna, you're going to make us dizzy. What are you doing? um, so that's definitely good news. As far as responses to business and what we're hearing from business, so my office has made 131 calls so far to companies to find out how they're doing and what's going on. Obviously, nobody is saying this has not affected me. So let's be clear, there's none of that. But there's a whole lot of here's what's going well and things are okay and we've got everybody still employed. Our manufacturing sector was almost across the board essential. So they stayed in business and they kept their people working and they were able to accommodate the safety concerns and make sure that everybody was okay. The few that did shut down are now looking to reopen. So we had a couple companies reopen this week that were great to have them back. And I had one HR person tell me she was a proud mama because they all came back on Monday. They followed all the rules. They did everything that was supposed to be done and everybody was great. So she was very, very happy. Tired because, working from home is different than working in the office. But, it went very, very well. So we're hearing a lot of that. As a county with all of our chambers, including Wadsworth, and Seville, which is always fun to have Seville on board because they usually get left out. All three of our major cities, some of our other villages, the Lodi Harrisville Economic Development Group. So pretty much countywide, we are launching Vocal for Local. So we are interviewing companies to find out what the retail situation is, who's doing what, really cool ideas out there. So you probably saw Water Main Grill launched on April 25th. So, 20 years from now, when he tells his story, he can say, I opened right in the heart of the pandemic. He's been really thrilled because he knew he had to get open. He knew he just had to try. So he's doing dinner, which is not his model. He's going to do a breakfast lunch place. So it's totally outside of what he had planned, but he's been a restaurateur since 2001. So he knows the industry, he knows what he's doing. So he launched for takeout dinners. He's sold out pretty much every single night since he opened. So that's been really great. The community's really come out for him and he couldn't be more happy. I mean, and what a great guy. If you'd ever gone into Crates, little scary. Ron, how many meals did you eat at Crates?
Hey, that is Craig Hassinger and I's favorite hangout spot.
However did I know? And Heather bought candy there. She already told me. So
I'm a fan of the establishment.
Well, it's now totally different, and he cannot wait to show people. It's gorgeous inside. He put a lot of money into it and cleaned it all up. He will be bringing back the candy counter. So for those of you who remember the candy counter, that will be there. And so, getting a chance to do that interview, hear his story, hear what's going on, it's really, really fun. You may know that Opal Dragonfly retooled their business when things went bad and are now making masks. I have my stash upstairs. They're super fun and you get to pick your pattern. They have a ton of different choices. So, she and her mom are over there sewing even as we speak. So that's really great. Some companies have actually gotten on Facebook. So we had a couple of retailers that have been doing Facebook Live events. One, I heard secretly from an employee, they actually sell more in their Facebook events than they used to sell in a week. So those will keep going. So that's something they'll keep doing. So everybody's, gotten very, very creative. One of the bakeries actually started putting cake in cups, like in to-go cups, and making parfaits. A genius idea all the way around because it's the part of the cake that you have to cut off to decorate it. So you make it flat. So you have all those domes. So you're now not wasting, which is awesome. You put them in the cups. People who are having birthday celebrations and having the car parades, as people drove by, they would hand them a cup of cake. So now you're not touching like a cupcake. Can you imagine trying to hand out cupcakes now? So that you can give them this parfait instead. And so it really has worked out well. So lots of very creative ideas, lots of really fun things. And so now what we need to do, and I was actually just listening to Anthony Gonzalez, and he was just saying, so this is the confidence building part of the process. And that's exactly what Vocal for Local is intended to do. And we're so excited that Huntington Bank has agreed to be our mask sponsor, because what giveaway would you give in a pandemic, get out there and shop, but a mask? ask, right? So that's great. So we appreciate Huntington Bank very much for that. And the event will be on June 20th. So we hope to have all of our content up and ready to go and lots of things to look at and talk to or talk about and understand so that people can either get to the stores if they're comfortable going out. If they're not comfortable going out, find out how to shop online, how to do curbside pickup, how to get delivery, whatever it is. We want people to feel comfortable putting money into our economy because that's really what's going to bring us back. So that's really where we need to go. So that was kind of a dump of a lot of the current efforts, but I would love to hear if anybody has questions or comments or thoughts or ideas or anything like that.
Who are some of these restaurants? I want to know who the cupcake place is. And
Cool. So the place doing the cake parfait is Honeybee Bakery.
Okay.
And so they're in Medina. And the Facebook Live, like it's almost all the retail that we've talked to so far. So that one, that has definitely gone really well. And the other nice thing about doing these interviews is as we talk to small business owners, we can share. So I just talked to All Fired Up, which is one of those paint your own pottery places. And she's doing take-home kits. So you schedule an appointment, you go in, you pick out the thing you want to paint. You get 3 different colors of paint to take home. You take it home and paint it, and then you bring it back. And she has a station for pickup and a station for drop off. And you come back and drop it off, and they fire it, and then you come back and pick it up. So that's what we'll be doing this weekend.
Nice. And then what's the phase 1 with the brickyard? You're talking off State Road and Wall?
The brickyard is off of, I never know the address of it. It's just 241 acres. I can tell you that. Yeah. It's off Seville Road, I believe, but it's old site of the brickyard plant. Heather, do you know where that is? Oh, she's going to be muted.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. It's actually off Johnson Road on the other side. So if you take Johnson Road and it dead ends into Maine, that's the brickyard.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the corporate part. This is the actual plant.
Oh, okay.
So it's off of Seville. It's out there. I know that Acro Mills it's now J&O Plastics has a warehouse out there.
Okay. So that's going to be phase 1.
Oh, you know what? It's behind St. Ed's. There you go. That's where it is.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that's going to be developed is what you're saying?
Well, so that land is supposed to have been developed for like 20 years. And so it's just, there have been people who've looked at it, but it's a challenging piece of property. They made bricks there. Obviously, once it was gone, they didn't really necessarily maintain it. So there's been a number of, people who are motorbiking and all, other things out there tearing things up. And then there's a quarry because they were making bricks. So there's a 200-foot drop between one part of the land and another. So that's a challenge if you're trying to put a factory like in the middle, which obviously you wouldn't do, but
I've been back in there actually. I know where you're at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
so,
but
yeah. So it would be split up into different parcels. So.
Good deal. What about the land on 261 in Hartman?
Okay, you guys got to help me because I never know where anything is.
Oh, that's okay. If you don't know, I was just curious.
No, I mean, I know the things. I just don't know the street names.
So just down from like the highway, like if you're Target, Giant Eagle.
Oh, yeah.
There's that block of undeveloped.
Across from where Ritzman's used to be.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Small little business park there.
Yeah, we haven't had any movement on that I'm aware of. Yeah. Of course, Heather knows how I know where that is. So she used to live right over there.
Right by my old house.
Exactly.
So have a lot of these businesses you've talked to, have they done, I mean, obviously the ones that were essential may not have needed to, but done the PPP loans, maybe some of the
So-
smaller ones.
And actually, Ron and I were going to try and talk about this because I was fascinated when the numbers came out for the PPP loans, the first round.
Mhm.
Ohio as a state received 4% of the total PPP loan money, which is a huge percentage. So we were trying to figure out how that was possible. And the guess was because we have more smaller banks and the way the money was divvied up was done that way. But Ron has unmuted himself, so I'm going to guess he has an answer for us.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we've got in Ohio the benefit of just having a lot of good banks that have good relationships with their customers and did a great job reaching out to them. If you followed any of the media, a lot of the larger banks had a hard time getting to their customers for whatever reason. And so I do think it speaks to the job that the banks in Ohio did with their customers. There are more banks per capita in Ohio as well, so that probably helped too. But I think I know a lot of bankers and a lot of banks that put in a lot of hours starting on April 3rd up until about a week or so ago. So, Kathy, I think you're exactly right in terms of why we saw what we saw.
I mean, it was very exciting. I mean, when we were on par with like the state of New York for the number of loans we received, that said that our bank, I'm totally confident in saying that our bankers got out there and hustled. And I know they did because starting April 3rd, actually starting April 2nd, I talked to a number of bankers and they were already bracing for the storm, and it's phenomenal what our banking system was able to do for our companies.
Yeah, that's good.
And did I understand from an email I received that the SBA is now just forgiving anything under 2 million, Ron? Is that correct?
There's been no kind of like as this program started, there's lots of rumors and lots of talk, and there's still a lot of uncertainty as it speaks to the loan forgiveness piece until it's in writing and been given to the banks and things like that. It's still very gray. If you go back to pre-PPP, pre-April 3rd, everybody thought they knew what payroll information was going to be needed, right? Attorneys, accountants, banks were all out there saying, hey, have this, have this, have this, have this, have this. There has been lots of talk about forgiveness, but I will tell you, it's still gray and has not been resolved. So I would be surprised if that happens, to be honest with you, because it would defeat the purpose of what the program was designed to do, although the program's already been challenged. The real purpose of the program was to get money to business owners to hire their people back and get them off unemployment. And that has not worked as well as the program has been designed, because I'm sure you all know business owners who have gotten PPP money and have gone to their people to try and hire them back and are being told, hey, you know what? I'm making more on unemployment because of the $600 per pay bonus that I get than I was making working for you. So I'm going to ride this out until the end of July. Call me in August.
I got a question about that. Is that really happening? I mean,
oh yeah, I
here in Medina, across Ohio, I mean, is that really happening?
So it definitely is happening. There are also people who are on unemployment who are chomping at the bit to go back to work.
Right.
So depending on who you talk to, different people are having different experience, but there are absolutely a segment of the population that are saying, I'm making more on unemployment than I did working for you. So I'm not coming back.
Are you looking
oops, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is that mostly a factory worker?
No, it's mostly retail.
Restaurants, manufacturers, it's across. I mean, here's an example that I got today. have an employee, there's an employee, they work one day a week and 2 weekends a month. And this employee makes about $1,800 a month, okay? They got their unemployment, this was from, you know, they're getting their next unemployment. This person's gonna get $4,520 after having 10% cut out for their federal taxes. So this employee got made pre-COVID $1,800 a month, one day a week, 2 weekends a month, and is now making $4,520 a month.
But I thought there was, for unemployment, I thought you had to work, I thought it was like 20 hours a week, or you had to have a certain amount of hours in. How do you work?
So, no, those conditions were actually, yeah, Angela, sorry, I'll shut up.
Yeah, so beginning this past Monday, this thing called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance went into effect. So individuals who do not qualify under regular unemployment law may qualify under this program. So if they hadn't worked long enough, didn't have enough, weren't receiving enough per week and that sort of thing, they may qualify. In particular, this will assist like food servers, bartenders, self-employed, 1099 people with getting unemployment assistance. And they can only do that if they don't qualify under regular unemployment. Also, employers are told to report employees who refuse work because they will lose their benefits.
Mm-hmm. But how does somebody make, how do they get unemployment when they're working one day plus a weekend, you know, a month, or, you know, I don't know. I'm asking. I really don't know.
I can't speak about an individual case per se, but there is also another program called Shared Work Ohio, which if an employer had to cut hours, you know, maybe someone was full-time, now they're part-time because they're trying to keep people working, that can help supplement the income.
But I thought that was kind of already there, at least that from what I was reading those posters, because, you know, I had them up in my business for 10 years.
Oh yeah, it definitely existed, but more employers, you know, may be taking advantage of it.
All right, so you've got retail who just came back to work, so they're saying, no, I'm making more on unemployment. Huh.
Yeah,
okay.
they're saying no, thank you, and it's more prevalent than you think it is. Yeah, I'm just going to write it out till July because I know you'll hire me back in August. What needs to happen is either, and the first thing won't happen, is that the government change the policy and say, if you are on this special unemployment plan and getting the $600 a pop at every payment, and you're offered your job back, you lose the $600 kicker. Or I've given guidance to businesses that, hey, you tell them that you need to hire them back, and if they're not back on Monday, they're going to get fired, and you're going to hire somebody else to take their spot. It's hard for these small business owners, especially because they're not used to having those kinds of tough conversations with people. But they're really being handcuffed, getting their people to come back to work as they're trying to get their businesses back up and running. The other reason I don't think there'll be more work on the forgiveness, and keep in mind the SBA changes their mind like every day with things. So they'll put a policy in place today and it'll change tomorrow. The Dental Association in one of their last communications to their members said, hey, go to your bank, get the PPP money, don't hire your people back, use the money to, you know, make your own mortgage payments, car payments, you know, pay yourself. Your loan won't be forgiven, but it's only going to be at 1%.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So
Because
You
the
got
only
that whole
reason,
thing.
Sorry.
Ron, the reason I asked about the forgiveness is because I got a note from another member that said the SBA and Treasury last night put out new guidance that said they would be forgiven.
Yeah, that would be news to me. And again, as they begin to see the abuse of the program, I think that will quickly, if that's a path they're thinking about going down or have gone down, once they see all of these people who did not spend the money on payroll, there's no way they're going to forgive those loans.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Wasn't
too.
it originally,
Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead, Heather.
Oh, I was just, wasn't originally set up 75, 25%.
Yes.
And
So 75% was supposed to be used
yeah.
on payroll, 25% could be used on rent and utilities.
Yeah, okay.
Steph, what'd you want?
I was going to say, Ron, are employers finding it hard though to do that, to fire people? Because I know we sat in, last week with Ashley, and she was like, if people aren't comfortable coming back, then you have to respect that. And so, like, if I were a small business owner, I would never refuse someone saying they'll stay on unemployment or not come back, because I would be so afraid they would sue me.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I do know, though, businesses that have had those conversations with their employees around them not having a job on Monday or next Friday or what have you.
Also, employers need to be careful about the CARES Act and FFCRA, because if anyone has minor children at home who, obviously aren't in school, are in daycare, then the employer is required by law to provide up to 12 weeks of pay at 2/3. But it's technically paid by the government. You can immediately get a reimbursement. But got to be really careful about, like Stephanie said, about just firing someone.
Yeah,
Well,
my counsel's always for the business to talk to their attorney.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say we spend a lot of time explaining those programs and then saying, and here are some great attorneys.
But it's really putting the business owner in a tough spot.
Yeah.
Because he or she needs the people to come back and work so they can operate their business.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kathy, I think I might have found what you saw that came out. It's that businesses that took loans that were under 2 million
Right.
were an automatic certification in good faith, so they will not be audited because
Yeah, I was going to
so not being
forward what I have.
So not being audited doesn't mean not forgiven.
correct.
Right.
Well,
in
and yeah,
that release about them, granting that, forgivable loans across the board under 2 million. There's nothing there.
it's in FAQ 46, apparently.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I know.
Old
It's
FAQ 46.
like literally this email came in a minute and a half before I logged in. So I haven't gotten to read
Okay,
through
so
it.
yeah, that was from this morning.
Yeah, so one of our members forwarded it over, and so trying to stay on top of all this stuff has been one of the biggest challenges I've ever had, because I'm neither a banker nor an attorney. So reading some of this stuff has been just comical, and there's a whole lot of wait, what? And so I'm grateful more than I can ever say for our banker and attorney friends that I can call and go, huh? And they give me the straight answers. Our professionals in Medina County tend to speak straight. They don't lawyer it up or make a lot of financial terms. They actually dumb it down for somebody like me, which I greatly appreciate.
Have you had anyone take advantage of the EIDL?
Lots. Yeah, absolutely.
Was that
Actually,
smoothly?
I'm on the board of the Recovery Center for Medina County,
Yeah.
and we got one for that group, and it was very easy. Yeah,
What is
I think
what is an
the
EIDL? I don't
it's
even
the
know.
SBA. Yeah, it's the SBA's emergency loan program. So it's a disaster recovery loan.
Okay.
Or like a grant, right? Just
Yeah.
how it's structured.
So yeah, it's up to $10,000 to cover emergency expenses.
Mhm.
So on our website, medinacounty.org/COVID-19, there are all of these programs and a whole lot more. Uh, we wound up having to segregate stuff because it got so much information, but we do have all the financial resources, information about unemployment. So, if you have employees asking questions, you can look at that. We also have PPE vendors. So if you need masks or gloves or thermometers or face shields or any of that, that's on there. We have cleaning companies, which apparently we were the only ones in the region to think of cleaning companies. So we were very proud of ourselves. So we have those guys on there. So if you need somebody, if you know of somebody who says, hey, we had COVID here and we need to clean it up, you can get that service. So all that's on that COVID-19 page.
Mm.
And it gets updated basically daily at this point.
Fun.
Well, I finally went and counted. So the Medina County Economic Development Corporation actually runs 13 websites, and we have 3 that are in development. And I went, maybe that's a little excessive,
Ooh.
a lot of web work. Yeah.
Yeah, I know for me, it's, just more on the 401k fronts and IRA front. So, and luckily none of my clients, they haven't needed to pull out under the CARES Act. But I have a few companies that have had to do PPP loans, and it was towards the beginning of it, well, whatever that timeline was, I don't even remember now because things are a blur, but she had it was challenging, it was stressful. But she got through it, she got it, but it was a lot to figure out. So
Well, it was
it's just
so
nice to have.
it was
It
so
was just
much
crazy.
real. Yeah, I mean, there was nothing in
Yeah.
stone at all.
No, it's just boom, here it is, and everyone's scrambling to try and figure out what to do.
So yeah, that has definitely been, I mean, the message that everyone has been given at all the different levels, legislative, health department, everything, is all of this uncertainty is the difficult part.
Yeah.
If we could somehow nail that down. We talked to Krista Wasowski this morning. She is fully aware that it's the uncertainty that makes things the most difficult. So, trying to help nail things down and get things released and let people know what's going on, that really is her focus, which is great because she is so business friendly. We are really, really lucky in our county.
Nice. Now we have the HEROES Act, right, on the table.
Yes.
Coming down the pipeline.
There are actually a number of bills right now that are
Yes.
out there. So let's see, what's going to happen. Gonzalez was just saying that, there are a number of things that are coming in front of the House that have so many extra pieces on them that he doesn't think they're going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
We shall see. I agree. Sit and wait. New day, new bill.
I will tell you the thing right now that I'm encouraging anybody that has the resources that can help. So if people, say to you, hey, how can we help? Our schools are in desperate need of our help. I didn't realize, because I knew that our schools fed kids, right? Like that's a thing. 5,400 meals are going out of Cloverleaf, schools every week. 400 meals are going out of Wadsworth schools every week. So, it's
who's mainly heading that, because I know Lori Beal in Wadsworth. I know she.
I missed the beginning of your question. Sorry.
So Lori Beal in Wadsworth, are you familiar with her? She does garage ministry.
Maybe. I am not.
That's okay. But I know she's been collecting food for meals, but I don't know who else is. So who's doing that in Wadsworth? And
it's actually going through the schools. So the schools have been granted, they can use the money that they normally use for extended lunches and free lunches. They can use that for this process. They've also been given extra money for that. The problem now in Wadsworth, it's a little different because they actually are doing it through administrative volunteers. So they have a sign up genius that you can sign up and help distribute the food or prepare the food or whatever is involved. Cloverleaf, because of the volume, it's actually going through their full-time staff. Well, that's fine to, through the end of May, but those folks are on a 12-month contract but only work 9. So now you're going to ask them to work June, which they normally don't. And it's a big ask because, people have plans and they, don't account for childcare during that time and, stuff like that. So, he's looking for volunteers like crazy. So we actually connected the superintendent in Cloverleaf with the Jobs for All Graduates program. So these kids are looking for work experience. And we thought, hey, let's get work experience by handling food. So so with any luck, that'll help. But yeah, we're going to be putting out a cry for help tomorrow to our companies to say, hey, if you're in a situation where you can be a part of things and you can help, here's who to contact in each school district, because our schools just had their funding cut for this year's budget. So if you think about it, they're on a non-calendar cycle, right? They finished their budget June 30th. Now, this late in the year, they got their budget cut, some of them up to 40%. And it's just, you're not getting this money. And by the way, if you've already spent it, we need it back. So, our schools are just reeling, and through it all, and Stephanie can attest to, learning still happened. We turned the schools on a dime and said, do it differently overnight, basically. And then, and since you did that well, let's take away some of your money. And since you did that well, let's make sure you're feeding the kids. And, and it's just thing after thing after thing.
Yeah. There's a big ripple effect.
The good news is the majority of Andy was pretty confident in saying that the kids in Wadsworth do have internet access. So between CityLink and Spectrum, they were able to get internet access to anybody that said they didn't have it already. Now, of course, there are going to be those folks who didn't stick their hand up, didn't tell anybody they were having a problem, and so they didn't get any help. But everybody that needed help got it. So that's really good.
That's good.
The bad thing is sometimes people don't even have very good internet. So Joe's like an IT manager for a company, and he's got a couple people out there, and their internet is so bad where they are because they're so far out that it's a mess, So I know a couple people, even, in the Buckeye School District where they've had their kids, they said, well, our internet's so bad, even though they have it. It's just, to be doing, and if you've got like Joe's here and he does IT and I'm here and Stevie's here, and sometimes we're all trying to stream and, we have, it's just crazy. So even our internet, even though we have really good internet, is not always great. So
that's and we have 100 kids in Black River District and 53 in Cloverleaf that don't have internet at all. They cannot get it.
Oh, wow.
So, and that's just the districts I know. I only know 3 right now because I'm still in conversations with the rest of them. So yeah, we're trying to get our arms around what are these challenges to even figure out how to solve them. Because, if you don't know what the scope is, it's one thing to solve a problem for 20 people. It's another for 300.
Wow.
So much for happy hour. Sorry.
I'm like, oh.
But no, I think this has been really interesting, and I so appreciate you sharing all this with us. And I'm really sad that it got messed up, and I really apologize for that because I think this was really great information for people to know and to be able to share. And so I just thank you.
I'm happy to come back and talk anytime. The Vocal for Local effort, is evolving, and we're trying to get as much content as possible and get everything kind of up and running so that we can really start pushing it and celebrating it. And so when that effort really launches, and kind of in my head, my deadline is June 8th because that's when our article hits the Women's Journal. So when that effort really launches, I really have high hopes that we'll make a big impact because we would love to see lots and lots of spending, and people getting out in the county, even if they don't want it go out. And I understand that my husband does not want to leave the house, and that's totally cool. But we can we can do carry out.
So that's what I wanted to ask you about. Is there like a social media page for that, or do you have any?
There will be.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, with, right now I'm trying to build a website, doing the interviews. Thank God I have an intern. She's doing a bunch of interviews. Trying to get the list built so that you can, one of the hard things, and maybe it's not for you guys, but I don't like feeling like a noob on anything. So, when I walk into a store or if I go somewhere to do carry out or whatever, and I don't know how, that's what freaks me out. So I want to know how. I want to know, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? What does this look like? So we're putting that information on the site so that when you go to a business, you can say, oh, okay, so I'm going to go in this door. I'm going to follow the path. I'm going to check out here and then leave the other way, and that way you don't feel like, gosh, I've shopped here, a million times and now I don't know how.
Mhm.
And I know I'm not the only one because I've gone to the grocery store and people can't follow rules. Okay. It's not that hard.
Right. And even tipping, so I guess my girlfriend tried to tip the girl who brings your stuff out at Target, and she was like, no, and she ran away. I don't know, there must be their policy not to accept tips, but she was like, well, I didn't mean to upset her. And so it's just hard to and I don't know,
Yeah.
do I tip some people? Do I not tip people? I didn't even think about the person at Target. I was like, maybe I should be tipping them,
Yeah, no, they're not
So-
allowed. So don't try, because if they're seen on camera accepting a tip, they can get in trouble.
Okay.
And I know the Giant
so-
Eagle is hardcore about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of places that are hardcore about that. Anybody that works in food, you can tip, like in restaurants. So and apparently Medina County has been extremely generous through this whole situation. And a lot of our restaurant owners are so grateful. I mean, they've said, nobody knows what's gonna happen tomorrow, right? We don't know what's gonna be next, but people are going on faith that it'll be okay and that they can go ahead and do this. And so it's just been really, the caring and outpouring of just help has been awesome.
Good to
So
hear.
that was a little happier. That's good.
Yeah, we ended happy.
Well,
Alrighty,
cool.
so, yes, thank you everyone for joining us, and we will, I promise we will work through these technical difficulties, and next week will not be like this. We will figure
We'll
it out.
practice.
I promise. We
Figure
will.
it out, right? Okay.
We'll do it until we get it right. So, but thank you all for being patient and coming back on, and Kathy for presenting, and Ron for chiming in, and everybody have a good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.